A panel. So I watch a show called Rising every day, and it's from Krystal and Saagar, and you guys have heard me mention them on the show all the time. So I was watching them, and I have to say, Biden came out with a speech, and his message was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I criticize Joe Biden just about every day here on the podcast, so I have to call a spade. And look, he is trying to get 100 million Americans vaccinated, and he's trying to, do 100 million checks as well. So give 158 million people checks. So what he's saying in his first speech is, it's he's saying, hey, here's what we're trying to do: 100 million shots and 100 million checks. That is a good message, because it's because in a sense it's basically saying, I'm gonna get our economy back up, And not only am I going to do that, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get you all vaccinated, get us back to normal, and I'm going to put money in your pocket, and you're going to be able to pay your bills, pay the rent, utilities, gas, water, childcare, mortgage, rent, whatever you got to do, and subsidize our economy by purchasing merchandise, and there you go. So I think it's a good message. Do I think that his current bill is a good transformative thing? No. I just went over on Tuesday? Yeah, on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, how Richard Wolff said Biden's no FDR because he's not creating transformative change. He's not a transformative figure. But again, so I want to show you this. So you have a panelist here on Krystal and Saagar show on Rising on the Hill, and Krystal and Saagar and Jetty ask a question of, is this a good message by Joe Biden? How is this? Is it popular? Is it effective? And here's her thoughts. I just want to play it. I agree, but more than anything, I disagree. Watch this.
Well, I do think it's just popular messaging because it's also good. It's also reality, and it's good. It's been a really long year, so I'm really, really grateful that we have these vaccines and that they're getting out the door, and that people are getting the support that they need. So I'm very happy that that's happening. Now, I will say this, it reminds me a little bit of, whether or not this can sustain itself, because Charles Murray, who is very, thoughtful person on the right, who's actually come out in support of UBI, always said, be careful when the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting bread and circuses. And so what I really think is going to be telling here is, look, you can give people, direct checks, although it hasn't always worked, because we've seen this in 2009. We saw Bush do it in 2001 and 2008. And the reason it's popular in the moment, but it doesn't actually sustain, is because people aren't stupid. The systemic power structures don't change. Right? They're still, losing their jobs, when they're, we're importing H-1Bs, from India to do it for them. They're still unable to, actually improve their station in life because we've concentrated corporate power, so extremely. So I do think, in the short term, this is extremely popular, and I'm also very grateful for it. But I don't think it's going to sustain itself in the long run unless there's actual real change. I don't know that the Republican Party is positioned to give it to anyone, but I don't know that Joe Biden is either.
That's an important point.
Agreed. It's agreeable. I agree with her, Rachel Bovard on the Hill. She's a conservative leaning person. In a sense, so here's the thing. I like Charles Murray, one of his theories, and it's that if we let people do things when they're young, when they're kids, it gets the energy out of them to do those crazy things, and then they're going to be ready for college and work and kind of real life and kind of things like that, stuff like that. So, aside from that, I'm just gonna remember that Bush and Obama didn't really try to. They did bailouts, sure, but they didn't really do checks to the American people. Unless someone can make me recollect. But I don't remember Bush doing it in 2001. From what people have told me, I was a little too young, but I remember 2008 and 2009. My dad didn't get a bailout check. Wall Street got a bailout check. So when she says, well, we tried it in 2001, 2009, 2001, 2008, understand that Bush bailed out Wall Street, My dad never got a check in 2008 when we lost our house, and Obama didn't do anything to rescue us. It's why his rescue package was it was mainly just. It's why it was so unpopular because it contained hundreds of billions of dollars for tax cuts for the rich, not for any of us. So, I can sit here and sympathize with her and agree, but number one, you're kind of wrong, Rachel Bovard. That's not what happened. They bailed out the rich, right? Because she's saying, be careful, because this is not sustainable. Look what happened during 2009, 1, and 8. Well, the problem was they never were giving checks to the American people. I disagree with her that it's not going to help, because look, I mean, in Canada, they're giving $2,000. Japan, they're giving some kind of money. And guess what? Their economies are still up. And records show that in 2019 and early 2020, before the pandemic, people were being responsible with that money that they were getting, the $500 in Stockton, California that we talked about on the channel this week. And it helped to sustain households. So take that with a grain of salt, whatever she says there, because it actually does work. If you're giving money to the people and they're recurring checks, yes, it's going to help them out. It's going to stimulate the economy. It's going to boost the economy. It's going to boost the GDP. It's going to boost business and enterprise, and the free market capitalists are going to be incredibly happy. Now, she says another point. Well, now look, I have to say, she's right that we're not stupid. People aren't stupid. They know that the system is not working for them because guess what? We have prioritized the top financial people in this world, in this country. That's what we have done. We've given everything to the top and put it there and said here. And we've made the poor even poorer. So I agree with her on that. But then she says, "Oh, they can't get their jobs because they're losing them because they're bringing HB1s from India to do their jobs for them." Okay, but you have to realize that your Republicans that you support do the same thing. So do the Democrats, because cheap labor equals happy donors. So their donors want them to allow them to extend H1B visas or whatever it is. Why? HB1, whatever it is. Because they don't want to pay us the minimum wage. They'd rather lay us off, hire cheap workers from overseas that they don't have to pay the American minimum wage, and not have to spend all of that money so they can make more profit. And yet that's why we have such a high unemployment system. Because whenever they say, it's a 3, 4, 5%, look at the U6 unemployment rate. It's at 6, 8, 10%. It's always double what the unemployment actually is. So don't come here, Rachel Bovard, saying, it's because this happens. We're getting HB1 visas. Okay, HB1 people. Then I'm glad she brought it back and said, look, we need actual change, and I don't know that the Republicans are going to do it. Yeah, because they're going to keep bringing those people from India and Mexico and Vietnam and China and France and everywhere else to do the work for them. It's Politics 101, Republican and Democrat 101. They all do it. So just thought I would mention that. But the reason I think this is good messaging, again, from Joe Biden is he's actually saying, I'm giving you money, I'm giving you the vaccine, I'm giving you herd immunity, and I'm providing economic stability for the country. Very good message, but is it enough? No, because of course he didn't do the $15 minimum wage, he didn't do a Jobs for All program, he didn't raise unemployment, he lowered unemployment insurance, and he didn't do recurring checks. Had he done any of that, all of that, he would have helped with possibly ending poverty. He would have helped people get out of poverty, perhaps. So, again, he's on his tour now, the Help Is Here tour, bragging about this because, again, this is what Obama didn't do, which when he did the rescue plan and Obamacare, he didn't really go out and brag. Let me tell you, we did this, me and Joe. See you home, Michelle. Love you, sweetie. Right? He didn't do that. Right? He didn't take credit, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are. So, yeah, it could be that they're learning their lessons from 08, 09, 2010. But again, Joe Biden needs to do a lot more, or his messaging is going to be ineffective after people get off the initial high of this relief bill.